Welcome to I Wrote This News. Today is February 18, 2022. TGIF, and here's the news. Story number 1, to Bezos, one Dutchman says, shall know. As we've reported here before, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has commissioned the world's largest sailing yacht. So big that to get it out to sea, he's offering to pay to take apart and reassemble a historic bridge that it needs to pass to get out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Hold everything, says Facebook user Pablo Storman, a Rotterdam resident, who earlier this month invited the quote, international egg-tossing community to bombard Bezos' boat on June 1st. More than 20,000 people had marked themselves as going or interested in going as of Wednesday afternoon. The event's description reads, quote, calling all Rotterdammers, take a box of rotten eggs with you, and let's throw them en masse at Jeff's superyacht when it sails through the Hef in Rotterdam. The Hef is a nickname for the 145-year-old Koningshaven Bridge. It has just 130 feet of clearance, according to Dutch media. The yacht, dubbed Y721, needs more than that to pass beneath. On the sunny side, ha 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 ha, Bezos and the shipbuilder, OceanCo, have offered to cover the cost of temporarily removing and replacing the bridge in order to get the new superyacht out. Storman told the Netherlands-based NL Times last week, normally it's the other way around. If your ship doesn't fit under a bridge, you make it smaller. But when you happen to be the richest person on Earth, you just ask a municipality to dismantle a monument. That's ridiculous. Storman is, of course, mistaken. As of February 12th, the world's richest person is actually Elon Musk with an estimated net worth of $224 billion. Bezos lags Musk by about $46 billion, notching in a net worth of $178 billion, excluding any cost of cleaning his big, gigantic sailing yacht after it leaves Rotterdam. Story number 2, Grey Lady down, Wordle users cross. Wordle lovers have slammed the New York Times again over today's answer, with some branding at the worst in the game's history. Recently, fans have been complaining that it has become too difficult since the US newspaper took over, with previous answers like cock branded too niche for most players. Fans also complained that words like niche were too niche, too. Another person, who failed to solve the puzzle, said, good morning to everyone except all of the staff at the New York Times, their families, friends, pets, and acquaintances. And although today's answer was a more common word, many players still had problems, finding that even with 4 correct letters in the right spot there were too many possibilities for the correct answer. Wordle, which only offers 1 puzzle per day to keep fans hooked, has amassed millions of players since it came online last October. It was created by New York-based Welsh software engineer Josh Wordle for his girlfriend Palak Shah, who loves word puzzles, large piles of cash, and the New York Times. Story number 3, Charlie Munger oozes wisdom. During a Q&A session at the Daily Journal annual meeting in Los Angeles, Warren Buffett partner Charlie Munger continued his verbal attacks on crypto, this time likening the digital assets to a virus, and not COVID or the flu. When the conversation turned to crypto, Munger didn't mince words, saying, quote, I certainly didn't invest in crypto. I'm proud of the fact that I avoided it. It's like some venereal disease. Munger went on to list why he doesn't like BitCoin, saying that extortionists, kidnappers, tax evaders, and terrorists use it. It's beneath contempt, he said. Both Munger and Buffett have had harsh words for cryptocurrency in the past. In 2018, Buffett famously called Bitcoin, quote, rat poison squared. In response, Musk, a crypto supporter, tweeted an anecdote. Musk tweeted, I was at a lunch with Munger in 2009 where he told the whole table all the ways Tesla would fail. Made me quite sad, but I told him I agreed with all those reasons and that we would probably die. But it was worth trying anyway. Tesla is currently the world's most valuable carmaker with a market capitalization of $954.3 billion. Munger had commented about Musk in public before, saying that the Tesla and SpaceX CEO, quote, thinks he's even more able than he is and that's helped him. Munger continued, quote, never underestimate the man who overestimates himself. Some of the extreme successes are going to come from people who try very extreme things because they're overconfident. And when they succeed, well, there you get Elon Musk. Next up, Charlie Munger explains why Apple is like the gift that keeps on giving, Facebook is the drip, and Google a load of, quote, crotch crickets. February 18th is the 49th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. 316 days remain until the end of the year. Now it's time for On This Date in History. On this date in 1229, Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor, signs a 10-year truce with Al-Kamel. As a result, Frederick regains Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem, relying neither on military engagements nor on support from the papacy. On this date in 1791, Congress passes a law admitting the state of Vermont to the Union after that state had existed for 14 years as a de facto independent, largely unrecognized state. On this date in 1861, Jefferson Davis is inaugurated as the provisional president of the Confederate States of America. Also on this date in 1861, with Italian unification almost complete, Victor Emmanuel II of Piedmont, Savoy and Sardinia assumes the title of King of Italy. On this date in 1878, John Tunstall is murdered by outlaw Jesse Evans, sparking the Lincoln County War in Lincoln County, New Mexico. The Lincoln County War was a long-running feud that became famous because of the participation of William H. Bonney, also known as Billy the Kid, Sheriff William J. Brady, cattle rancher John Chisholm, lawyer and businessman Alexander McSween, James Dolan, and Lawrence Murphy. The conflict began between two factions competing for profits from dry goods and cattle interests in the county. The older, established faction was dominated by James Dolan, who operated a dry goods monopoly through a general store referred to locally as the House. English-born John Tunstall and his business partner Alexander McSween opened a competing store in 1876, with backing from established cattleman John Chisholm. The two sides gathered lawmen, businessmen, ranch hands, and criminal gangs to their assistance. The Dolan faction was allied with Lincoln County Sheriff Brady and aided by the Jesse Evans gang. The Tunstall-McSween faction organized their own posse of armed men, known as the Lincoln County Regulators, and had their own lawmen consisting of Town Constable Richard Brewer and Deputy U.S. Marshal Robert Weidenman. The conflict was marked by revenge killings, starting with the murder of Tunstall by members of the Evans gang. In revenge for this, the Regulators killed Sheriff Brady and others in a series of incidents. Further killings continued unabated for several months, climaxing in the Battle of Lincoln, a 5-day gunfight and siege that resulted in the death of McSween and the scattering of the Regulators. Pat Garrett was named county sheriff in 1880, and he hunted down Billy the Kid, killing 2 other former Regulators in the process. On this date in 1885, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain is published in the United States. On this date in 1930, Elm Farm Ollie was the first cow to fly in an airplane. The flight was part of the International Air Exposition in St. Louis, Missouri. On the same trip, which covered 72 miles in a Ford Trimotor airplane from Bismarck, Missouri, she also became the first cow milked in flight. This was done ostensibly to allow scientists to observe mid-air effects on animals, as well as for publicity purposes. A local newspaper trumpeted her mission as being, quote, to blaze a trail for the transportation of livestock by air. Elm Farm Ollie was reported to have been an unusually productive Guernsey cow, requiring 3 milkings a day and producing 24 quarts of milk during the flight itself. Wisconsin native Ellsworth Bunce milked her, becoming the first man to milk a cow mid-flight. Elm Farm Ollie's milk was sealed into paper cartons which were parachuted to spectators below. Charles Lindbergh reportedly received a glass of the milk. On this date in 1954, the first Church of Scientology is established in Los Angeles. On this date in 1970, the Chicago Seven are found not guilty of conspiring to incite riots at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. And 1 year ago today, Perseverance, a NASA rover designed to explore Jezero crater on Mars, lands successfully. Celebrating birthdays today are musician Yoko Ono, singer Randy Crawford, singer Juice Newton, actor John Travolta, writer Lisa C., actress Molly Ringwald, sociologist James Fowler, and English historian and author Len Dayton. He turns 93 today. Happy birthday to all of them, and if your birthday is today, a very happy birthday to you as well. By the way, if you or someone you know is having a birthday and would like us to announce it on the show, leave us a voice message or send an email. The links are in the show notes. Today's news was brought to us by Fox News, The Daily Mail, The Independent, Decrypt, Yahoo Finance, and the only website more productive than Elm Farm Ollie, Wikipedia. If you have a comment or a question about anything you've heard today, or if you have a suggestion, please send us a note at IWTNews, all one word, at thatradioshow.com. That email address one more time is IWTNews, all one word, at thatradioshow.com.
One more thing, if this podcast sounds a little funny, that's because it's also an experiment. All of the vocals were generated using AI technology. Hopefully the show will sound different and better as the tech improves and as we improve at using it. I'm Bob Meese, hoping you have an amazing day. We'll get together again soon.